Hello, and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Friday, August 31st, and for the European account, which I'm on, that means that the season is already done. Made it to rank 19, and so I get a 19 chest. I believe I made it to rank 19 in each account, which is great. That is good progress for the HS replay decks. We've gotten this new Lemonade card back. So at rank 19, the rank you earned last season earned you starting at rank 23. So the thought here would be to get, we gotta watch and learn, so I need somebody to actually be online. Probably desperately throw out some friend requests. So we'll make this our favorite, and got all kinds of things. Reroll this one. Priest cards, dungeon boss, watch somebody else, and tavern brawl. Right. Double death rattled. And last time I played this, it was not very helpful. I still feel like the hunter is the right one to do. And then just need to maybe find some mechs. Take one of these. Gain the death rattle of a random minion and you attack. Raptors. That. Two of these. Two of these. These. This. Take that. And that. Take two of those. I've got like 9 more cards I can play. Let's see. Restore 4 health. There's no way I'm going to play these late cards. It's just not likely to happen. Recruiting an 8 cost minion is insane. Magnetic, mech, take those. These summon minions. Deal 4 damage to an enemy minion. Okay, that's a decent start, I think. I'm not sure I have enough news for as long as this stream is probably gonna go, but I usually do, so let's continue down this route. Let's see. I want mechs as best as possible, so I'm gonna hold on to this. Gematsu has an article. Square Enix and Tencent form a strategic alliance. Outcomes to include co-development of AAA titles and more. Of course, there's another story that we'll get to later, talking about how China has decided to let even fewer games into their country, be sold in their country. Both in domestic and foreign games. So this whole agreement with Tencent, which I've always said Tencent is basically just an arm of the government, as most of the corporations in the Chinese in China are under direct control, or at least heavily influenced by the government. Tencent was buying a lot of foreign companies, or shares in a lot of foreign companies over the last year. Maybe they knew that they weren't going to rely on making any money domestically. Let's see. Oh man. And when you send a magnet back, all those magnet things go away. Darn it.
Come, try your luck.
Well, that sucks. Let's see, is there anything here we can really set? Quote, we have strong expectations for the strategic alliance with Square Enix Group, says the senior vice president of the Tencent Group. The alliance will enable us to couple our broad range of internet service capabilities to Square Enix Group's superb creativity. So apparently Tencent also owns all of the owns all or a lot of the internet services in China. So there's the Great Firewall of China. Who's running it? Must be Tencent, at least in part. Of course, that's just speculation. I don't know. Nothing. This newly established alliance will be a strong boost to Square Enix Group's strategy to diversify our content offerings and expand access channels to a wider customer base. Of course, Square Enix also is not completely innocent here. It's like Square Enix is, I believe, the people that really are doing nothing with Deus Ex, and they're saying they're going to diversify their offerings. Like, the only thing they care about is releasing Japanese games. Is this an idea that Square Enix wants to make yet another Chinese game that's built around the romance of the 12 Kingdoms, or whatever it's called? Because that's basically the only thing that gets made by Chinese companies, particularly AAA games. It'll be an MMO, romance of the 12 Kingdoms. There'll be no skeletons in it. Well, there's really nothing else to say here about this announcement. We shall see how well that works for them later on. We've got a game on Steam called VR Slots. Let's see. Animation doesn't look too bad, but it really seems like you're going in the exact opposite direction when you have to put on a VR headset to play slot machines. It's a bunch of moderately acceptable animations around slot machines, and that's kind of all you can say. Should have used my hero ability. I could have won in 2 turns, but the animations kind of don't matter too. Like, the truth of this is, are you going to be standing or sitting? Yes, you can be sitting, playing slot machines. Well, the game is free. At least it is in early access. I don't know if they're going to try and put some actual microtransactions in here, but I mean, it's just not where you want to play slots. If you want to play a slot machine game, I'd heavily recommend playing the Wheel of Fortune slots, or is it just called wheel slots? And in that way you can have a well-known, reputable developer making slot machine games, and it's not too bad, and it's on your phone. So even at free, I'd still probably skip VR slots. GameIndustry.biz has an article: Orpheus to bring a suite of self-care entertainment games to VR. New publishing venture focused on games with positive impact on players' well-being. Yeah, the last thing I would want to see is VR become a tool of people who want to escape reality, and I think that's pretty much what this is, if I was to guess. Like, I bet this is like, I'm gonna go off in a direction and potentially be wrong. Alright, good. That's it for the Tavern Brawl. Let's see. The games focus on self-care. The games are Rave Runner, Microdose VR, and Sound Self. Let's see. Alright, let's get out of here. I do not want to do that Tavern Brawl ever again. I think I'm gonna need to buy a new mouse too. This one's driving me crazy. So a bunch of cards. Can we watch and learn? I'm gonna go ahead and add the last person I played. Friend request. Let's see. And it seems to me like all 5 of those cards were dustable. Well, with names like Rave Runner and Microdose and Sound Up, I'm just going to mark all these as viewed and hope that next time the game glitches, it glitches in a different way and doesn't decide that all these cards are new when there's no reason that they should be new. Like, even if these were cards that I got then dusted, it still don't make a lot of sense. There we go. Like, this actually sounds more like snake oil salesman. It would be what I would call it. Like, microdosing is not a thing that's real. Let's see. And sure, you can get on drugs at a rave, but having any specific or explicit experience at a rave, just because you're listening to music and dancing around, you could do that through any activity. Let's see, what was I supposed to be playing? Oh man, priest. Let's see, and then the sound, being able to change your mentality based on sound is a new ridiculous claim. Sound Self. Yeah, Sound Self uses the player's voice and breath to help them clear their mind and engage in self-reflection.
Versus Thrall. For Doomhammer.
Let's see.
The light shall bring victory.
Now, what's interesting is Microdose VR has the concept artist Android Jones from Metroid Prime which doesn't really mean anything. Like, who knows how much a role he really played. And they're name dropping like a bunch of things like the Health and Exercise, VR Institute of Health and Exercise, and Smithsonian American Art Museum. These games will be playable. All 3 games will be playable at PAX West.
Greetings, friend.
This seems like games that will get overhyped and don't deserve anyone's attention at all. They seem ridiculous, like rip-offs. I bet they're really, really expensive when they launch. And even though I was wrong, I need to admit I was wrong. It wasn't so much around escaping reality for SJW reasons, which in my mind, of course, in the video game industry, it's always the boogeyman of the SJWs, because it almost always is actually them. It's still the same issue. It's like, if you're trying to get mental health and improve your mental health, first thing you don't do is you don't plug into a VR headset. You don't leave. You just can't do that. Yeah. You can't leave reality. Just go ahead and end the turn here. Let's see. Rock, Paper, Shotgun and many other places, I imagine, has an article. Battlefield 5 launch delayed by 1 month. They're claiming it's, the quote here is, "We're going to take the time to continue to make some final adjustments to core gameplay, ensure we really deliver on the potential of Tides of War," says Oscar Gabelson, DICE's general manager. Tides of War is EA's fancy name for their content update plans, each focusing on a particular era of the war and the new Ahem narrative. I don't get the Ahem part there, but whatever. Let's draw a card. And play this. And
right away.
Smash. So Battlefield 5 is now due November 20th, priced at £55 on Origin. So Battlefield 5 was not getting the pre-orders it wanted. By delaying it a month and assumedly keeping all those pre-orders, that gives them 1 more month to get the pre-orders up. But it doesn't, I think, inherently fix what people had problems with the game. With the argument that it's moving away from realism, and that's what apparently the people who play Battlefield want, is still there. This screenshot that I'm seeing still has the lady with the really unrealistic shoulder fake arm, so everything up to her shoulder, it looks like, has been amputated and replaced, and she's holding the biggest gun. Well, she's holding the biggest and probably heaviest gun of the 3 other characters, compared to the 3 other characters. She's also wearing like an entire duster, where the guy to the right of her is in a tank top. So who knows what the weather is. The other two guys are in jackets too, so apparently just the one guy to the right of her is in a tank top. Let's see. Swap attack. And let's see. If I use this, play this. And then my turn. But moving Battlefield 5 is the right move. I mean, you can't really argue with the move. It was time slotted in the wrong place, and once they saw that it was time slotted in the wrong place after E3, which is really when they would have known that, they should have just said, okay, we're gonna move out of this time slot. We're gonna do something different. It really should have just been that simple. Meanwhile, we'll see what else goes on with what else gets reported and how it gets reported, certainly. Moving on, Gematsu has a article, Downward Spiral: Horror Station for the PS4 launches September 18th. Fight to avoid danger as you solve the mystery of the space station. So apparently this is a PC game originally. It will sell for $19.99. Let's see, so the PC launch it was May 31st. So is this game on Steam right now? Yes, it is. Okay. It's 75% positive with 24 user reviews. And inherently, this is what terrifies me about the system I'm using. It's clearly a failed system already. Is that a game can only get 24 user reviews in 30 days. And this came out May 31st, 2018. So not a ton of people have played this game, and yet now it's moving over to the PS4, and because of that I'm giving it some more relevance. Am I really gonna get down to the point where I say I'm not willing to even look at a game until it's on at least Steam and a console?
Job's done.
I have no idea. Let's see. Does this require VR? I think it does. That might explain the low number of players. Doesn't seem to say it requires VR. I'm not 100% sure what even kind of game this is. It looks like it might be a shooter. It looks like it might just be a wandering around in space game. I think it does have to be played in VR. Has a Metacritic of 65. Seems like people do like it, though. At least 3 out of 4 people like it. That's actually not too off from what it actually is. Let's see. if I draw a card and then play this and then do this and then do this and then do this and this. There we go. But I guess Horror Station, whatever. What's this game called? Downward Spiral Horror Station doesn't look amazingly good, and I can't get a straight out answer that you can play it without VR. And it's single player and multiplayer, which is questionable, certainly. So yeah, I'm gonna skip that one. Maybe people will come back and tell me later that it actually is a good game. Okay. This.
Let the pain speak to me.
And this. This.
Meddlesome insect.
Next we have a game on Steam called Archimedes. It's a strategy indie casual according to the tags. Looks like it might be a little village simulator. I've seen a game like this recently where characters can only walk on certain paths and you're having them fix and rebuild and maintain things. And that's kind of all the game is. It's just sending out minions and micromanaging the minions. Is there really nothing else? Seems like it has some variety on what the cities are you're managing, but each one seems like it's really just a puzzle, and once you're done with it, you're done with it. This game has 23 achievements. It's 20% off for $5.59. I really feel like that's way too expensive to recommend though, so I'm skipping Archimedes. Let's continue to add friends and hope somebody will accept so we can get to watch and learn and continue to play, as we just lost at rank 23. Rock Paper Shotgun, there's another call. Onimusha Warlords getting a remaster. Let's see. Is Onimusha Warlords though the original game, or is it some middle game in the series?
The light shall bring victory.
Let me watch this trailer for Onimusha Warlords. Certainly heard Onimusha. The thing about the graphics that I'm seeing right now, even if this is a remaster, is that it has a lack of details that makes it look like everything is just really soft and people don't have edges. Well, horses don't have hair, faces don't have facial hair. It looks closer to a late PS2 game, early PS3 game type graphics, not the hyper realistic graphics that you're used to seeing from a modern game. So, like, while Capcom may remaster this game and make it widescreen and make it run at 60 frames per second at 1080p, you're still going to be looking at some level of graphics that you probably would have to have some nostalgia for, and I very well may just not have that nostalgia. Onimusha seems like you play as either a samurai or a ninja girl, two of which would probably never meet. And you're fighting a bunch of demons in very narrow pathways with very awkward camera angles.
Let the pain speak to me.
I have a real hard time believing Onimusha Warlords would be a fun game to play in modern day. Let's see. Under this trailer says, if you're not familiar, Onimusha was a demon slicing alternative to Resi, but R-E-S-I as in Resident Evil, because they were talking about that earlier. That's how I know what they're talking about now.
Meddlesome insects. I comply.
Hey, it still has those fixed camera angles and ridiculous plot full of questionable voice acting, but you were fighting monsters of feudal Japan in a creepy castle instead of an undead zombie folk, as in zombies in a spooky mansion. So yeah, Onimusha Warlords is kind of the equivalent to Resident Evil 1. It's coming out January 15th, 2019 for $20, so it's at least on the price point I think that it should be. I could certainly see particularly Japanese fans being more interested in Onimusha than Resident Evil, but I think they were pretty interested in Resident Evil too. Oh man, I should have played better.
I comply. Beware the shadow.
Attacking. So yeah, I'd be interested in seeing somebody else's review for Onimusha Warlords before I'd start to think about putting it in my list. Also, I'm not sure, I'm 100% sure that they're listing what consoles or what it's coming out on.
Have I got a bob for you?
Like, this may not be coming to PC at all. This may simply be like a PlayStation only release or something. Play this. Play this. Play this.
I comply.
Attack.
Right away.
Attack. Let's see. Next game we have on Steam is called Seul, S-E-U-L, parentheses, alone, colon, the entree. And it is a text-based choose-your-own adventure game. But it certainly doesn't look like that in the way that they're depicting everything, because it's not white text on a white background or black text on a white background. Instead, it is white text on a black background. So it's pretty dark, and it has pictures that they're intertwining, so it's actually more effort, I would say, than normal for a text-based adventure. However, I still really couldn't ever find a justification in my head that would tell me I would ever want to play a text-based game. Like, that's just not interactive enough, like I was saying last stream. This game, Seul Alone the Entree, is 20% off for $2.39, and it sounds like it is only the beginning, if it's called the entree. Yeah, no interest there. It was like a horror story based on medical horror, like weird medical experiment graphics type things, and having a few pictures would certainly have helped contextualize and make things seem more horrific. So they went right that way. I think you've pretty much failed the second you make a text-based game. I think you've failed to realize what video games are. It's been a very long time though that we've seen any text-based games come out on Steam. So it feels like developers of games are going around in circles trying to figure out what they can sell and what they can't, and what will sell and what won't. Continuing on that thought, I imagine, is the next game on Steam called Love Story. It says Love Story is a hurricane shoot 'em up 3D shooter with a large range of weapons and a huge number of enemies. Yeah, you would not expect Love Story to be a, well, I don't know, you wouldn't call this a top-down 3D shooter because you're actually looking at an angle, and the angle is actually pretty bad. And
I must consider.
This looks like this is probably a meme game. If not, it's still a very low effort game. It's 10% off for $5.39. So we're still also seeing major
What is my purpose?
high amounts of
Pain, speak to me.
I comply.
expense that people are asking. A lot of people were asking for a lot of money. For these bad games. Next game we have on Steam is called Strategist, or Strategist. S-T-R-A-T-E-G-I-S-T. Seems like it's a one-screen Unity game where you're trying to find a path from point A to point B, or something like that. Seems like there's something, some kind of puzzle element here, but I can't even understand what this is supposed to is asking you to do. Play this. Play this. Heal this. Attack here. End the turn. Starting to get a little sleepy. Figured this was gonna happen. Strategist is 20% off for $2.39. As of what looks like a single screen game. It doesn't look interesting, it doesn't explain itself very well. It's from a developer who has listed a lot of games on Steam, and the only two I see that have been reviewed, and wait, no, I found about 4 more, all with mixed reviews. So not doing very good. As a developer with so many other minions, other things. So what do we want to do now? Discover spell. This. Slots, minions, or heal. Let's see.
quickly.
Played out of order there, but whatever. Next game we have on Steam is called Aeoth RPG. A-E-I-O-T-H. They forgot the U and the Y sometimes. It's supposed to be an old-fashioned MMO RPG, according to the description. Doesn't look terrible. It's an Unreal game, according to the trailer. Like, the question is, would you trust somebody to run an MMORPG? I guess you don't, because this actually isn't an MMORPG. It's just fashioned after them. It's single player and it's completely free, they say, but it's not free. It's 20% off for $19.99. Says, as the Ruby system for in-app purchases was discarded, you can now experience the world with no additional cost. So they're saying our previous attempt to make money failed, so instead we're going with our next attempt, which is going to be just asking you to pay $20. And I don't think this game is worth $20.
Out of my jungle.
Like, it may have been a little bit polished when it first came out, but that may have been 3 or 4 years ago. This is the only game that this developer has ever put on Steam. Let's see what languages it's in. That's everything. Yeah, back in the day, if this was popular and World of Warcraft didn't exist, this might have been a successful game with some nostalgia behind it and some relevancy behind it, but right now, as it stands, I don't feel like it has any of that.
Meddlesome insects.
See. Return. So yeah, close that page. Still got plenty of stuff to talk about, but I also want to wrap up this whole thing. I'm getting sleepier faster than anything. We have a game on Steam called Zodiacat. Play Zodiacat and save the 7 Zodiacs. It says it's a non-widescreen, some kind of platformer where you're playing as a cat. It looks really, really bad. It looks like a first-year programmer's project, video game programmer's project. It doesn't even look like a good first-year video game programmer's project. Double the health, and then attack again.
Beware the shadow.
Right. Play this.
Oh, a shadow.
Quickly.
Let's see, Zodiacat is 10% off for $4.49. And I can't recommend anybody buy that one. TechRaptor has an article, Confront Capitalism in Sandbox Simulation Dam View, built from nothing. This looks like a flatter animation style, 2D animation style. The trailer is something almost completely different. It's anthropomorphic animals on the streets. Yeah. So, I'd say it's probably kind of close to 16-bit animation style. You're playing as a bunch of animals, and there seems to be a wide selection of things you can do in the sandbox, which it seems like for the most part what you're doing though is you're running around in a ghetto, or you're in charge of a ghetto. Or at least you're acting like you're in charge of a ghetto. Let's see. There we go. It doesn't look amazingly good though. And it's coming out for the PC, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Switch in 2019. Right after all of these, after Gamescom happened, a lot of games got announced, and it's become a little bit of a problem. PC Gamer has an article, The Binding of Isaac Repentance teased in a short new trailer. 2018 is the year of Isaac according to the creator Edmund McMillan. So he's making more Binding of Isaac. It's not super surprising, it's still very, very popular. Give a minion to summon a copy of it. Let's see what this does. So, I don't know if I really want a silence. Let's see. What do we have here? Repentance is a slightly interesting name, but I don't think the Isaac story is really going to go any further in telling anything or adding anything or changing anything until there's like a Binding of Isaac 2 getting made. And I think a lot of these add-ons are around the idea of not doing that, or not being able to do that.
Almost out of cards.
Is someone injured?
Well, I'm playing all these priest cards, so that should be a good thing, I guess. Afterbirth and Afterbirth Plus. It's been 7 years. Seems like this trailer does not really show anything other than a trailer. Yeah, it's probably just more content, more items. He was making a card-based version of the Binding of Isaac, which people were having to like fund into Kickstart. Wasn't a terrible deal, although people certainly are getting obsessed with the Binding of Isaac. I think they always have been. In fact, it was probably just a week ago that I saw a clear Binding of Isaac rip-off game on Steam. But yeah, I don't expect it to be too different. Here's a slightly earlier story than the Nazi tattoo story for the game Scum. Gamma Sutra has an article. Scum is Devolver Digital's biggest launch after selling 250,000 copies. So, in a weird way, this game was very much on track to be super popular. It was in Steam's top 10 concurrent player count with just over 53,000 players when this article was written. And I wouldn't be surprised if some people got soured over the Nazi tattoo complaints and are not playing the game anymore. But that also might not be the case. So, you know what I'll do is I'll be a little bit of a journalist, and let's see. When I search Scum, it's just Kotaku, US Gamer, and PC Gamers putting the exact same articles up about the Nazi tattoo. And let's see what the reviews are right now. Right now it is mixed reviews, 68% of 5,110 user reviews, rating it positively, and people streaming it. The all-time peak of players, according to Steam database, was 58,408. The online right now are 40,471, which maybe that's good, maybe it isn't. Like, it is Friday evening, 7 p.m. Jesus, it's 7 p.m. already? How did I get there? How did I get to that point? Maybe it's something wrong with my clock. Let me... No, it is. Wow. I almost feel like I fell asleep while streaming, but that's not the case. Let's see what the negative reviews are saying on this game. I'm gonna scroll down and just see what the first negative is. Cons are on this first not recommended review are hackers running rampant, sniping from across the map. This is a common complaint, whether legitimate or not. Let's ask that guy if he'll be our friend. And in the meantime, we need to do dungeon boss rounds, which would be over here. Let's see who we want to play as. Take those. Meta right now keep respawning until you're near the airfield and get into game gear. Desync is terrible in melee combat. The in-game leaderboards are dominated owned by hackers. Hiking simulator map is extremely large with not enough players. 64 player cap. Hiking simulator, you have stamina that needs to replenish with every X amount of steps. Looting is extremely repetitive. Private servers are rigged. If you choose to rent a private server, there's only one hosting providers and you have no ability to kick or ban players. Owning a server, being able to moderate it on an online in-game 101. Let's see. Developers silence people in the forums and Discord to warn others about hackers. Hence making this review. They banned refund customers from accessing forums as well. Fresh cheating tool. You should be aware of. Watch for like I don't know what watch and then this is that like a YouTube link? So Scum seems like it's a bit of a mess. Seems like it's really, really early. Not worth it in the current state.
I'll show them. I'll show them all.
So yeah, looks like Scum is a dumpster fire game right now, as so many early access games, although this isn't an early access game, I don't think. And see, this supporter pack that has the Nazi tattoo is still on their website as part of the digital deluxe edition, so they haven't edited it out yet. So supporter pack costs $9 more than the $19.99. It says it's early access, so yeah, but it sounds like it really is a dumpster fire. And the developer apparently is Game Pyres and Crow Team. So what has Game Pyres done before? Not anything you'd ever recognize. They have like a game called Gas Guzzlers Extreme. And Crow Team, on the other hand, is pretty well known as the Serious Sam and Talos Principle developer. But I don't know how much, who was in charge and who wasn't. Of course, also Crow Team, with the exception of the Talos Principle, hasn't released anything new that was amazingly good looking either. Like their Serious Sam games aren't, I don't think there's been a new one, and the Talos Principle is kind of a very basic game. In the sense that you just walk around and solve laser puzzles. So while Scum is Devolver Digital's biggest launch and they should be super proud of it, it's also probably one of their messiest launches. And Devolver Digital in general, I think, kind of publishes some bad stuff, and they they haven't, in my mind, built up credibility as far as quality goes. There are definitely some Devolver Digital games that are not worth playing. Let's move on. Rock Paper Shotgun has an article, The Flare Path Infinite Patience, which looks like it's a ugly looking solitaire game. I don't know if there's anything here that's worth mentioning. It almost seems like there's two games that they're talking about too. Well, whatever they're talking about, neither one of those games look interesting. So let's move on. Should play this first. That would have been smarter. PC Gamer has an article. Monster Hunter World mod makes your hub area more patriotic. So this Monster Hunter World mod lets you hang a bunch of flags. I'm seeing a screenshot of the United States flag being split between 4 banners, which is kind of odd. Certainly. Take that. Just keep on playing. And let's see. There's a picture of the Union Jack flag and the Japanese flag, and I believe the Swedish flag.
Let the hunt begin.
It's really just retexturing flags that I think already exist in the hub. It's an interesting thought, certainly, but it kind of is also just game breaking as far as storyline. To see a United States flag in this fantasy world where you're fighting monsters. Game Citra has an article, Get a Job, Eno Games is hiring for a senior UI designer for a new mobile game. That's in Hamburg, Germany. I feel like that job listing has been seen before. Let's just keep on playing. And theoretically, this will be our last game of this recording. We've got a game on Steam called Woeful Wobots, W-O-E-B-O-T-S, and Woeful's W-O-E-F-U-L. Let's see how this works. That works rather nicely. Let's see, it says it's an action, indie, violent, casual VR game.
You do not see the shadows, but they see you.
Seems like this is just yet another VR game where you're standing in one position and shooting guns. Seems like you throw down your guns to reload. Let's see this. Adaptive movies. Let's see. Poisonous.
Such easy sport.
Yeah, while Woeful Robots looks kind of good, it's still just kind of the same dull and boring VR game. It's 10% off for $8.99, and since it's VR, I'm gonna skip it, of course. Remember, I got rid of a decent amount of games before I even started covering them, and they're still running over a lot. Next we have a game called SFD. They say it's a tactical role-playing plus roguelike hybrid that features fast-paced and simple play. I would call it an isometric 8-bit. Looks like it's a strategy XCOM style game, if I was to guess. There was a game I played on PC a long time ago, back in the Windows 95 days, that had these puzzles and things you had to deal with to escape this building, and it was just a giant game, like pretty much impossible to win type game, and I'm strangely reminded of that game, but I couldn't even tell you what that game was called. I just remember it was impossible, and I spent way too much effort trying to defeat it, and it was one of these games, I think, where you died on one hit, or maybe you got reset to a room, or maybe you had a set number of lives. Anyways, SFD is a boring name, if to say nothing else. It has 11 achievements, it's 30% off for $5.59. I don't see any reason why this would be a game you'd want to play, though.
In and out.
I'm just not feeling super generous today, if I was to guess, because I'm not giving any of these games the benefit of the doubt. Next game we have is The Lost and the Forgiveness. Actually, this should have been the last game. Last game should have been the last game, but let's just, if I win here, or lose here, that'll be the point to stop anyways. The Lost and the Forgotten. After a rough relationship on your trip to Monument Valley to rediscover the person you once were. Says it's an adventure indie game. Looks... I don't know what it looks like. I don't see any interactions. There's a couple of really dark screenshots. It's a VR game. That is a nice card. It's too bad you can't play it for real. Yeah, it's a VR game. It's $8.99, and beyond that, I cannot tell what you do or if you do anything, if it's just a walking simulator. And regardless of that, it's also part 1 of a game, and not even a complete game at that price. The only other game this developer has made is Tennis VR, which does not inspire me with confidence. Let's see.
Eureka!
Let's see. So here's the story. Your Gamer has it, but a lot of people haven't. Your Gamer says China wants to solve its eyesight problem by restricting video games. A short-sighted decision. Let's see. It says after several weeks of nervousness over China's freeze on video game approvers, developers' worst fears have been confirmed. China does indeed want to severely regulate the number of video games it approves, albeit for an unlikely reason, which we've seen this before, where you have tightly totalitarian governments come out with some really ridiculous excuses or reasons for the things they're doing, because you know it's not the real reason. China's President Xi Jinping, in remarks reported this week by Chinese news outlets Xinhuanet, that's Xinhuanet, said that video game regulation was because he cares for the children's eyes and wants to let them have a bright future. At a glimpse, a sensible declaration. Clearly the man's is a true visionary. I could almost see his point if, because I bet people in China do sit too close to TVs when they're playing video games. And I could see almost a point there if it weren't for the fact that we've actually never seen any studies that saying sitting too close to a TV actually does hurt your vision. I don't think it really does. I think that was just a thing parents told their kids because they were in the way of the TV, probably. It also doesn't make any sense because, like, cell phones and switches, you can be as far back as you want. There's not been any great rise, to my knowledge, of myopia or any other eye stress. Well, you know, actually, I think there have been some studies saying if you play too much video games and watch too much TV and just don't rest your eyes enough, you might have some slight stress on your eyes, but nothing permanent, nothing that you would have been born with. Let's see. And we're still just trying to get somebody to accept a friend request. If anybody is watching and they're on a European account, log in now and play a game so I can watch and learn. Let's see. Let's see. Yesterday, the Ministry of Education gave more detail, announced that the Chinese government would implement a number of regulatory measures to combat health problems. One of these involved restricting the total number of online games and controlling the amount of new online games allowed in the country. So yeah, this really has nothing to do with eyesight. It has to do with control and keeping the people probably playing Japanese games and not Japanese games, Chinese games instead of foreign games. It's protectionism, basically, which is what China has been doing for a very long time, and so as many other countries, and the United States is not much better, since this is the exact same thing President Trump is preaching too. And many in the United States are preaching. Let's see. They'll also review the age rating system and adopt measures to limit the amount of time minors can play. The rulings for minors' ability to play games in China, as I understand it right now, is so strict that the kids are already stealing IDs and using different logins. Let's see. Eurogamer continues. As the document is fairly vague, experts are saying it's currently unclear just how restrictive the regulations will be, but in context of the Chinese government clampdown on tech companies and recent freeze in video game approvals, it seems likely games will be the subject of more censorship. Of course, this is definitely all about eyesight. Yep. No, it isn't. Let's see. The news has hit the largest game company in the world, Tencent, pretty darn hard. The company which owns Riot, i.e. League of Legends, and has a significant stake in Epic, i.e. Fortnite, saw its share drop by 5% in a day. Why couldn't it be 10 though? Because he wanted to say 10%. The latest setback also comes after Tencent was forced to remove Monster Hunter World from its Chinese platform Wii game after a number of complaints were made to regulators. The article concludes it's likely we'll hear more details about this in current weeks and months, although Chinese bureaucratic fashion, it's unknown when this will be. So yeah, anybody who hopes getting into the Chinese market for any industry should take this story as a warning. China is not a market you can trust to ever earn or have, and you are going to have to sell your soul literally as a company to do it. Because remember, to do any business in China, basically, you have to partner with a Chinese company, and you have to give that Chinese company all your corporate secrets, and all those corporate secrets then get leaked and given to the government, so that you get ripped off by clones and forgeries. And we saw that earlier when it was the same companies that were working with Epic to bring Fortnite to China were also making the cheating software. Anyways, I want to get into a big rant there. This is where I'm going to wrap up this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.